All right, good morning, folks. Welcome to the Coffee Run with John from ProCraps here on Casino Gaming TV. Got a good one today, I think. We're going to talk about bankroll a little bit, buy-in a little bit. We're going to talk about bet sizing a little bit. And again, I want to do this kind of at a surface level. So we're gonna have, like I said, a couple of months here where we're going into our Gambling 101, 201, 301 series, and I'm just kind of taking things sort of high level, and then we'll do some deep dives as we get into more deep into the series. But anyway, here we go. Let's get into it. Let's go to what are we starting with today? We have, I feel like I'm really far away from the camera for some reason. I want to highlight this too. Friday, I don't have a Friday Folly show again this week. I've got my tomorrow show is kind of etched in stone. Tomorrow, by the way, fun day. We're going to talk about the psychology of the casino and how they're trying to get inside your brain a little bit. Some of the tricks they pull, which we know of some of them. Some of them we're going to uncover as more interesting. But Friday, I'm planning on bringing on a guest if I can do it. Maybe two. We'll see how that works out for a little bit of Q&A. So line up your questions, just general gambling questions. You can be talking about addiction, bet sizing, strategy, discipline, whatever you want to, whatever's on your mind gambling wise. Get your questions queued up, and Friday we'll have a guest and myself, and anything you've been kind of brewing to talk about, we can talk about. You want to ask about trends again? I know. We can have that conversation too. Whatever's on your mind. Friday's going to be a good day for that. It's going to be kind of a laid back, chill kind of let's just answer some questions and talk back and forth kind of a day. I'm going to recap the daily paycheck for you here in a minute, but today was the perfect storm for it. We've had a bunch of perfect storms on the other side. Today was a perfect storm on the negative side for us. I want to talk about that. And also, as it dovetails into today's conversation anyway, I want to talk about bet levels with the odds maker as well. And yeah, our Gambling 101 series continues on. Today we're going to talk about your brain versus your bankroll. I think that's, I've been kind of leaning into this question for a long time. And yeah, so that's what I want to get to today. Now, any questions that you've got, please put a Q in front of them. I see there's already one in there. I'm going to actually segment my my chats right now by the letter Q so I can see them. Here's a question actually for Waylon. Read in the computer somewhere, if you were in the DC and you don't like the number rolled, you can tell the dealer no action. You're asking Waylon, but I will answer you. That is true. It's also not a good thing to do. You don't have to like the number that you get to, right? But the better move is to place the number, don't pull it down. Okay, and the reason for that is that it's hard enough to get that bet out there. Let me go to the table. I'm going to give you, this is a great question to lead in. Just a general, like I say all the time, knowledge of the game is important. Here's a great knowledge of the game question. I'm going to show you what this looks like for you. All right, now, let's take a quarter bet as an example. A quarter bet that goes to, first of all, in here, you know this. Hopefully you know this. You've got how many ways to win or lose? You got 6 ways to lose on the 7, 2 ways to lose on the 11, right? You only have 3 ways to win. 1 way to on the deuce and once on the ace deuce, right? That's it. 3 to 11 is your upside down. You're fighting City Hall here to get out. Just getting this bet to a number is kind of a miracle. But once it gets up to a number and you've dodged that, you're still in the hammer position. You've got 6 ways to win and 5 ways to lose. It's still a better bet than the 8. So don't forget that. It's still a better bet than the 8. You're a favorite and getting paid 1-to-1. It's a good bet. But if you don't like the bet, you can just place it. For example, place the 8 for $24. You don't like it? Place it for $24. You can pull it down. You can say no action and pull the bet down like it never even happened, but you did all that work to get it out here. Go $24 on the 8 if you don't like it. What does that do? Well, if the 7 comes, you lose 24, you win 25, you net $1. Anytime you can pull even $1 out of that casino's hands, you should do it. Okay. If the 8 happens to win, you'd lose 25, but you'd win 28. You're taking $3 off. Okay. It's the one time in the game that you can say, I can't lose. This is the one spot you can be in ever where you say, I cannot possibly lose here. This pulling it down guarantees you a tie. Placing the number for a little bit less to lose, a little bit more to win, guarantees you a win. On any number, that'll work, right? Even on the 5 or 9, bet it for $20. If you don't like the 5 or 9, for some reason, bet $20 on it. On the 7, you lose 20, win a quarter, you win $5. On the 9, you lose 25, win 28. You're going to win 5 or 3. Never pull the don't down. Always place it. If you can do it, if you can get it through, place the bet. That's your craps 101 lesson for today. You can tell them no action, but it's never a good call to do that. Okay, it's never a good call. Lock up even a $1 win. Lock up $1 as a win. If nothing else, let me go back to the screen. If nothing else, that $1 win on that place bet of the 8 when the 7 rolls, the next time you're in the DC with that quarter, that $1 can become your yo hedge. You can put that up on the yo, right? You get a free halfway hedge on a yo. That's actually use the money against them, right? That's what that's for. So if you can place it, place it. That's my recommendation. All right, here we go. Anything else for the queue? I will read. I'll find. I'm gonna be here at the screen most of the day today. So let's jump into our Gambling 101 series. And actually before that, odds maker. Oh boy, I didn't update the screen. Shoot, the screen is inaccurate. I forgot to update it. We're now 8-5, which kind of sucks. 8-5. We lost today. We lost 300 and whatever dollars today, whatever it was. Today was the perfect storm. When you find this, and again, let's go to my table. I want to show you how this kind of looks. Can I do this? Can you see that? It doesn't matter. Oh, you know what we want to do? Hold on. Let me try something. Table with screen. Can you see that? Ooh, you can see that. Look at that. All right, let's look at what happened today. And again, I didn't change the numbers, but here's the way this, and I want to really talk about the bet levels here too, because as you know, the odds maker strategy is a pass line bet and then a DC bet. Okay, let's put the DC on the 6. And you take single odds on the 6, you take double odds when it's a 9 or a 5, and you're basically progressing your odds based on what the point is. The right way to play it. The way this thing works best, obviously, is when you hit your point. In this case, it would be 25 flat and 75 for the odds, which is a net win of $100, right? All this comes back, net up 100. You're back on the pass line. I actually parlay the flat win. Puck is off, come out 7, 50 here, and there's your $200, right? That's the way that this thing ought to work, right? In a perfect world, that's what happens. I've hit the perfect storm on that side of it. Every time we've won money, I've hit all 8 of those wins. Every one of those wins has won that way, which is what you're designed to do. Get a pass line with odds win, come out 7, Bob's your uncle, and you walk away a winner. Today, it was the opposite. Today, we had this all day long. We had the pass line with some odds. We had the 10 with 150 on it, and we would bang out and lose our 10, take the odds down for a minute, go back into DC, and then get a 7 and lose it all. We kept having that weird, ugly circumstance. And I say this a lot, where in craps, a lot of times, and I know this is going to be controversial to say, so bear with me. A lot of times you get, and I like to give you coding terms when I can, because I'm a computer programmer and I teach it. We have what's called an off by 1 error. So in coding, a lot of times what happens is a lot of loops and things that we do start with 0, not with 1. And a lot of coders forget that, and you get what's called an off by 1 error. So all your math is good, but it's always one number off or one iteration off for some reason. In craps, the same thing happens. Okay, today, we never hit a pass line, not one, right? Never got a come out winner, never had a pass line, a point get hit, never once. But up in the box, we buckshotted the 4 twice, the 8 3 times, and the 6 twice, okay? All these numbers hit while we were on the DC. If we had, and that's a big if, instead of going pass line DC, if I just waited for 1 roll, let the shooter get a point established, and then went come bet to the 8, DC bet to the 5, and then done the odds, right? When that 8 gets buckshotted, right here, if I'm in this situation here, we'd have hit it every single time, right? Sometimes waiting for a roll just to reset your pattern, because you might be in this sort of cycle where it's not working, where wait a roll, get into the come, and this is the same thing, right? A come bet and a DC bet is the same thing as a pass line and a DC bet. Just waited a roll for it to happen. Today's rhythm would have been better come bet because we buckshotted so many numbers today. Today's rhythm would have been off by 1. Instead of being here, we should have been here. It's waiting for a single roll. That's an interesting thing, and it's a tool that I don't think a lot of people think about, okay? When we play things mechanically, sometimes you're just in a bad rhythm, and sometimes you're just one roll off the beaten track. If your strategy allows for it, take a roll off, like let that get established, then come through a different way on the same thing. That would have been great today, right? Had I thought of it in the moment, it would have been great. I tried to play a little too by the numbers here, and we end up losing some money. That's something to consider. Off by 1 errors happen a lot. So think about that, right? If you're doing come or DC betting and you're just getting jacked around, take 1 roll off, then restart the thing and put yourself into a different series of numbers. Starting at roll 1 versus starting at roll 3 changes the way you experience the hand by a lot. So consider that as an option. The other thing too is this. I've been working this thing where I'm not going past the first $500. I'm trying to stay within, this is my stop loss. I'm either gonna win 250 or I'm gonna lose 500, and that's where it's gonna be. And today we went right up against it. We were right up against it. We were at $2,000 twice today. And my thought process is this. I want you to consider this with me. And again, put a PC in front of this if you have a thought on it. About not considering my $2,500 bankroll as 5 sets of 500, but as 1 set of 5, right? In other words, instead of taking $500 and using quarter-size bets, just going out here with black-size bets and saying, well, we're either gonna burn the whole 2,500 or we're gonna make 1,500. Because what I'm doing is I'm turning $500 most days into $300. I'm taking 5 units with quarter-sized bets and I'm winning about $300 on top. That's been my average. My average wins about, you can see on screen, about $300. That's been our average. Well, if you think about that, 5 units winning 3, what about 5 units winning 3? Take the whole thing and look to win that and say, we're gonna burn 2,500, we're gonna win 1,500 every day, and that would accelerate our growth. That's gonna be the topic of today's conversation. So think about that, considering each slot of $500 as 1 unit and burn the whole thing to win 3 units versus burning this whole thing to win 3 units that way. 5 units is 5 units, whether they're $500 units or whether they're $100 units, they're still 5 units. And we got to think about ourselves in terms of that relative to the win goal. So anyway, that's my odds maker talk. I wanted to kind of get into that with you before I started the real conversation today. Roy says, what do I think about doing a don't pass and a come bet for the odds maker? You're saying to go first? Yeah. Let's see, at the DP, next roll 7. Yeah, so this is a rhythm play. And I think you're talking what I'm talking about, which is if I went come then DC, fine. If I would have went DC first then come, which is what you're suggesting, you still end up in a good spot for the 7, right? You want that come out 7 to win for you as well. Again, one off, go back over here again, off by 1 errors can be fixed a lot of ways. And again, changing the order of those bets, going from instead of pass line DC, going come DC, or skipping it all together and just going DC first, then come, right? Either way, you can alter the order. And again, when you see a series of rolls of 20 or 30 rolls that are coming out in a series, starting at roll 0 and you get your ass kicked all the way through, if you had started at roll 1 sometimes, your rhythm is different. You're experiencing different outcomes on your comeback. So when you're doing come and DC betting, I think a lot of times, if it's not going your way, let an outcome happen and then jump into it after that. Just as food for thought. Just think about that as you're practicing it. When it's going wrong, that's not a bad way to kind of just jump into a different series of numbers and experience that day a whole different way. All right, let's jump through and make sure I don't have any other PCs too. I'm checking for Qs and PCs, by the way, in the thing. So let's see. Wayland's Way Crap says if I hit on the DC, don't go back until the next shooter. Sure, on a hot shooter, the DC, boy, oh boy, the DC can be a freaking nightmare on a hot shooter, right? On a good shooter, you're getting picked. Today, we got picked like that twice, really. But what happened to me was every shooter picked me off. Like, what we don't realize is that when it's me shooting, it's 4 rolls and a 7, it's 4 rolls and a 7, it's 4 rolls and a 7. I never hit the pass line, but it's always me shooting, so it feels like I'm a quote-unquote hot shooter, picking off my numbers. In reality, that's 4 different shooters that are going. So in the rhythm of that, the DC bet gets picked off once, I go back in, it gets paid on the next 7, so it kind of pays for itself. It was the pass line today that got rocked, man. Boy, oh boy. And right, MSP, you're saying the same thing. Why bother bringing 2K if I'm not going to use it, right? I'm bringing 2,500, and the question with the $2,500 bankroll, let's go back a screen so this comment makes sense. The question with the $2,500 bankroll is this: did I bring 2,500 so I could sustain all that loss? And if I burn 2,500 bucks, $25 at a time, that's a bad freaking day, right? Is it there to withstand all that loss, to give me time to fight back? Or is $2,500 there so my bets can be bigger in size? And that's the real question. That's actually the heart of the question and what I want to talk about today in our Gambling 101 series. So let's put a pin on that, and we'll jump into the Gambling 101 series. Here we go. Let me progress the screen here one thing. Okay, and we'll reset ourselves. All right. Remember your core principles of gambling, right? And this, again, expands all the games. I like to talk about craps because it's my favorite game. So a lot of my examples are given to you in craps terms, but let's think about this holistically with everything. Goals, whatever your game is, your goals, that's where I'm headed to. It's what pins me to the earth. Okay, it's my North Star, and it pins me into the ground. My strategy, how I play, determines the way that I win. We talked about today, this rhythm that we're in today, right? Our rhythm, how we catch rhythm and how we have our bets out there determines how we win. The bankroll size is how we handle our loss. And again, I could have 2,500 bucks and with $25 bets withstand 100 losses, right? That's what that means. And to give me chance to fight back. Or 2,500 bucks with $100 bets, and I've got 25 losses that I can withstand. The bankroll and the way you play together combined account for how you win and lose, dollar amount, percentage-wise, and length of time. Okay, you know me. I want to be in and out as fast as I can. So bigger bets, smaller time, to me makes more sense than grinding it out with tiny bets forever at this stage of my career. All that boils down to this: what's in your brain, your mindset, and your discipline together get you through that and make sure that you can execute. It's an important thing. And if you have a problem, we say this all the time, you got a problem with any of those things. If you're lacking in knowledge of the game, you're at the right place. We're going to teach you the games. If you're lacking in understanding of variance and how variance and quote unquote trends work, you're at the right place. We talk about this all the time. I think that an understanding of and an embracement of the way that variance works is the way to win in this game. It's the way to win the game. It's what drives like the negative progressions. It's what drives the positive progressions. Okay. I think understanding how to win in a variant is where the money is won and lost here. If you don't understand that, again, this is what we're all about here. Okay. So let's move ahead. And we're going to talk about today, how do I say this right? What I want to get into today, I want to peel back the onion a little bit and jump into your brains. We've been talking a lot about psychology, right? About what kind of player are you in your soul, okay? And that drives everything, right? The goal that you set for yourself today, whatever that is, your bankroll that you brought with you today, those two are monetarily in lockstep, but really it's about what's in here. And a lot of times what I fear is that your soul, your brain is on one track, but your bankroll and your goal are on a different track. Like I'm an aggressive adrenaline junkie, but I've only got a little bit of money. Or I'm a conservative guy, right? And I'm playing at the wrong size table. I'm a conservative guy with a small bankroll at a giant table limit, and I'm limited in what I can do. These are the things that I want to get to here. I want to talk about your bankroll and how you get into it. And Dusted One says, "Bring on the blather." I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but here we go. All right. Remember this: your goal statement's important. And I think today is going to be extra important, right? Lay it out for yourself in this, whatever it is, session, in this shooter, in this spin of the wheel, in this whatever it is, I'm willing to risk some level of money. We're going to talk about units today to win some level of money or units by playing whatever strategy it is or game it is so that I can progress bets, whatever, buy a TV set, whatever your goal is. But have your goal, I think, stated is kind of an important thing. We've talked a lot about this, and I want to recap your play style. And this goes back to all the lessons we've had so far on your psychology. And again, think about where you fall into this mix. You may fall into a couple of buckets here. I don't want to say that you're one or the other, but not all of them. You can be all of them, 2 or 3 at the same time. You might be conservative today and aggressive tomorrow. That describes me. I'm conservative when I play at home. My home casino, I'm conservative. I'm trying to build bankroll up, right? When I go to Vegas for a weekend, I'm more aggressive because I built the bankroll to go to Vegas to be aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So you might change in the moment. I might be a conservative for the first 4 or 5 rolls of a shooter and then hit the gas pedal and go aggressive. You might have a little bit of all that in you, but look at this play style based on your core personality type, right? A conservative player, we talked about this, is going to be protective. They're willing to grind. They're going to play more low risk, low volatility things so they can kind of stay even keel and pull a small profit on the regular. The aggressive player, high risk, high volatility, right? High risk, high reward, all or nothing. Burn the bankroll to win bankroll. That's what they're looking to do. They are pure adrenaline. There are the thinkers and the tinkerers who, generally speaking, are looking for low volatility, although it takes more exposure sometimes to get you there. When you have lots of hedging and that kind of thing going on, you're kind of playing chess with the casino. The casino always wins the chess game, but you can mitigate loss. The thinker's looking to lose a lot of pawns, but save all the good stuff for later. That's kind of their way. The mathlete, we talked about the mathlete being, I think the way that people envision a math player like Shackelford, right? Or some of these guys that only care about the house edge as being conservative or low bankroll guys. No, very high volatility. It's short-term high volatility. When I look at math players, it's the card counters that are waiting for the count to hammer the casino. It's the pass line player waiting for the 6 and 8 and jacking up 10, 100x odds on it, right? That's high volatility, but low house edge. They're okay with big swings. They're actually looking to hit home runs. You have your bankroll hammer guys who play either with big giant bets, looking for regressions or big wins early, or long-term negative or positive progressions. They have the bankroll to withstand forever. The bankroll hammer guys fine with a $5,000 bankroll and $25 bets. Give me 200 cracks at this thing. Give me 200 units to play with, and I will withstand the ebbs and flows of that table and win in the end. That's what the bankroll hammer is looking for. Yesterday, we talked about field players, and they're willing to grind it out, looking for a home run. They'll grind, waiting for the moment when it happens, right? Minimum bet, no bet, come back in, and then 4 parlays to glory, right? Wait for the dice to do what you want them to see, what you want to see them do. Start hopping predictive numbers based on what you're looking for, right? I may not think that that's the way to play personally, right? But that player is looking for a trigger, something to happen to make them start betting. And they're looking to grind a little bit, but when that thing happens, bam, it's a home run, right? They're looking to last a long time and play in a way that's going to set them up for success when that condition arises. That's what's in your brain. But what really we have to think about is how to get there bankroll style. And we talked very lightly about this over the last few weeks here. And let's get into it here. And one thing we got to do, I think, is quit talking about dollars. It's easy to talk about dollars. And I just gave you a quick demonstration here with my odds maker strategy, but let's express everything in terms of a unit, okay? And let's take a look at a simple example, a $100 win goal. Expressed in units, it's $25 units. It could be $100 could be seen as 20 units, okay? Or 10 units, or 7 units at $15, or 4 units at a quarter, or 1 big ass unit, right? Your bankroll kind of determines what that is. What is a unit to you based on your bankroll size. And here's a good rule of thumb, right? This is not, again, etched in stone, but a good rule of thumb. 1 unit is about 100th of your bankroll. And you should let that drive where you play. And this is really, and I don't want you to skip over this. This is a really important point here, okay? If your unit size, if you only have $100 and you're looking at 1/100th of your bankroll, your unit size is $1. You should be playing at $1 size table, bubble craps, right? Or the stadium craps where you can do the dollar minimum bets. That's where you belong with that size bankroll. And it's important to know this because you need 100 units to express your win goal. It's easy, 100 units, 10% win goal, I'm looking to win 10 units. It's very simple, math-wise, to determine where you should be. If you have $500, your unit size is $5. You should be playing at a $5 table. Now, oftentimes, there aren't no $5 tables. Depends on where you live. A $10 table with $500 just constricts what you can do. It's a doable thing, but if you can find a $5 table, roll to win, again, stadium preps, those kinds of things, at $500, that's quote unquote where you belong based on your unit size, right? Again, if your unit size is 1/100th of your bankroll, that's where you belong. At $2,500, right? That's $25 units. When you get to that level at a $25 table, you should be at 2,500, betting those size units. Again, your unit size is very relative to your bankroll, and that really should determine where you're playing. Your bankroll divided by 100 tells you the table size you ought to be targeting. And that's an important bit because when you express your win goals in terms of units, it makes it a little easier for you to kind of just ignore the colors of the chips. The chip color doesn't matter. If my units are fives, great, then they're red chips, who cares, right? I'm looking to collect numbers of chips, not colors of chips. Of course, they add up to dollars and cents later on, but relative to your bankroll, $25 chips, that becomes, $45 chips is a 50% win. And that's got to be okay. That's okay. There's no law that says you got to turn $100 into $500. All right, so just keep it relative. Some questions to ask yourself as you're making these determinations, where to play, how much to play. One thing to start with is note your average bet or win amount. Your unit size might be a quarter, your average bet might be twice that. For example, if my unit size is 25 and I'm betting, let's say 204 across, my bet size is about a quarter in craps, my win is 2 units. My average bet is 1 unit, my average win is 2 units across that spectrum. Know that, because if your goal is $200, or if your goal is 4 units, let's say your goal is 4 units, you're betting 204 across, you're betting a unit and a half per number to win 2. It takes 2 wins to get you there, right? 2 wins get you 1 big unit, right? That's the thing to remember that. What is the bet spread you need? How many tries does your strategy require to get the job done? So you'll hear a lot, you should bring enough money for 10 shooters or 10 cracks at it. That's fine, right? You bring 10 and you burn all 10, you got killed 10 straight times in a row. That'll happen to you, but that's what that theory is based on. And in all honesty, you can bring enough money for 5 or 7 of what you're trying to do. You're going to win some in the middle there and kind of rebuild that as you go. 5 or 7 turns into 10 or 12 because you're going to win and replace before the bigger score happens. That's an important thing to realize. Also, does your strategy have a cap per play? And I'll give you an example. The come ladder that I play on the craps table, it's a 7-unit strategy, period. When a shooter starts up, I'm putting 7 units up against that shooter. No more ever than 7 units. If I'm playing the horseman, it's no more than either 4 total units, or it's no more than 7 total units, depending on what level I'm playing that thing at or what ratio I'm playing it at. If you're capping it, that's easier to figure out, right? But know that going in, right? And a big thing here is know your stop loss. Your stop loss combined with that win goal and the unit count really kind of dictates how much bankroll you're going to need and what you're willing to burn to get through it, okay? And I want to show you a little stop loss calculator that I wrote here. It's a simple one. But I want to cover this with you because people say this all the time. There's always this sort of argument about stop loss 0 versus something else. Depends on what your goal is. It's the same thing, right? A stop loss 0, I'm willing to lose 100%, to double my money is the same as a guy saying, I'm going to risk half my money to win half my money. It ends up being the same in the end, ratio-wise, okay? The lower stop loss, though, gives you some fudge room, which is kind of nice if you need a final bet. As an example, when I do the odds maker strategy, and I have my first $500 slot, I may be at a case where I burned 425 out of it, and I'm out there for my last play, but I got to dip in to the extra into my other $2,000 to make the last bet the right size. That's where the smaller stop loss helps you out, but really they're the same thing, okay? Let's look at this estimator spreadsheet that I got. I think this will help a little bit. I hope it will anyway. Let me go over here and let's see, let's go with this. Okay, there it is. And I'll make this spreadsheet if you wanted it. This is a spreadsheet that I wrote a couple years ago that I've added some things to it. Like it's got loggers in it and it's got session planners and your buy-in and your master bankroll, for example, is $10,000. You should be betting $100 units. You're buying in for $1,000. You're looking to win $250. Like it's giving you kind of an idea of like what's your unit size, what's your session bankroll buy-in, what is your win goal per day, and what's your loss limit. And again, it's all based on percentages. If I'm willing to risk 20% of my master bankroll to win 10%, and my loss limit is 25%, this gives you kind of like what should your bet sizing be versus the right win goal. So that's a good little thing. But anyway, stop loss estimator looks like this. Let's just play some pretend, some what ifs, okay? And here's a what if on what I'm doing right now, okay? If I were to say I'm buying in for $2,500 and my stop loss is 100%, but I'm looking to win, let's say 60% over 20 sets. This is the odds maker strategy, right? If I buy in for $2,500, that's $500 in 3 slots, right? And I'm looking to win 3 of those, like I just showed you. I'm looking to win three units out of 5, essentially. If I think of a unit as $500, that's 60%. We should be here. If we're winning 70% of the time, we should win about $6,000 over 20 sessions because you're going to lose $2,500 3 times. You're going to win $1,250 or $1,500 7 times. And this is the net result of that, right? This kind of thing here is the way that you can kind of, okay, what's my actual numbers? What should they be? If I bought in for $2,500, what I'm doing now, my stop loss has been 20%. My win goal has been 10%. This is where I've been playing this thing, right? I'm not willing to lose more than $500, 20% of this. I'm trying to win about 10%. This is where I've been. This is about where we are. We're about a 70%, 75% win rate right now. We're not doing that great. I got about $500 in my bank from this strat. It's right about where we are, right? We are playing at this level here. If I had said, you know what, let's up the unit size, make the stop loss a little bit bigger, 50% stop loss, looking to win 25%. Right now we're getting somewhere. Maybe the win goal is $500, right? See how you get negative here? You got to tweak it to get where you want to be. And I'm willing to risk $1,250 to win whatever that is, $600. So there's a little estimator spreadsheet. Yeah, and Arcadies, they're not optimistic, by the way. This is not at all optimistic. 70%, if your strategy doesn't win at least 70% of the time, you need to change strategies. I'm telling you right now, change strategies. 70% win rate is not that hard. Getting up to 85 and 90 is pretty hard. The daily paycheck strategies, every one of them so far has been about 70, 75%. And even at that, there was a couple of major blunders I made. We should be closer to 80%. If you're not here, you got to revisit the way you're playing. Whatever game it is you're playing, you got to be here. You got to be here. I think it's I can't understate that enough, right? And again, watch the daily paycheck. I do this show to show you how hard it is to win 70, 75%, but also how when you do this with the right numbers and the right goals, you can make decent money. And again, I think what's happening right now is I've changed. What I was doing before was 100% stop loss for a 10% win goal, and we were down. Unless we had the 90% rate, we were down. I think what we need to do is go to 100% stop loss, but a 60% win goal and up the unit sizes. That I think is important. All right, so there it is. There's your, you can play with this as much as you want to. Right, I'll give you a link to the spreadsheet. You can make you're going to go to File, make a copy. You can make your own copy of it and put your own numbers in. But yeah, these numbers here are legit. If you're losing more than 70% of the time, or you're not winning 70% of the time, change things up, because there's a big problem in what you're doing. And that's why you watch guys like me and Jeremy and Waylon and Jeff and Ed and all these guys that are running strategies that have a pretty high win percentage. It's important. A lot of times you don't win here because your discipline is wrong. And I mean that with all sincerity. If you're not walking away a winner 70% of the time, a lot of times it's because you were up and you put it all back out there and burned it all back. You've got to get there. You got to get there. Okay, guys? That's super, super, super important. Yes. And here's why, Dorcel. Let me show you this. Okay. I'm going to get to this. It's actually a great little segue here. Let me go to the table and zoom in. And I'm going to show you exactly. Yeah. See, you're saying huge stop loss, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's go to my table and talk about what I've done. Okay. 60% win goal off of what I started. Let me go back and show you this. I know I told you it was going to be controversial today, right? Here we go. All week, actually for 12 sessions, I have played the odds maker for now 13 straight days. Okay. Only one time have I lost more than that, $500. Only one time. That was the time I played here, and I went on tilt and I was having too much fun. Right. One time I've lost more than 5 units. Okay. Which means my stop loss has been 20%. I've had a 20% stop loss this whole time. My win goal has been what, everybody? $250, $300, right? If my stop loss has been 5 units and I've been winning an average of 3 units, what percentage is that? Please tell me what percentage that is. Everybody in chat, right now, tell me what percentage is this versus that. And every one of my wins has been 3 units versus a 5-unit stop loss every single time. That's been 60%. Now, granted, this $300 is 10% of the whole 2,500. That's what I've been preaching and playing for, 10%. And what's been happening. I've been winning 10% of my full bankroll every single time. But I've never been putting more than 20% of it at risk, right? So yes, if you think about my bankroll looking like this, only $500, right? And I'm playing with quarter chips and I'm winning $300, I'm winning 60% every single day. If you think about what I've actually done, right? Is that a ridiculous goal to go for? Sure it is, unless you consider stop loss 0. Who cares? $500 to win 3, right? Versus my master bankroll of 2,500. And that's what I've been working towards. That's what this conversation today is about. Not so much my personal bet sizing, but I want you to see what it looks like, right? If you're out here, right direction there, with a small stop loss, right? 20% stop loss with a 10% win goal is the same as a 100% stop loss with a 60% win goal. There's no difference. Percentages work. This is going to blow your brains. Percentages work the way they work, okay? 20% stop loss, 10% win goal is the same as a 100% stop loss and a 60% win goal. There's no difference. There's no difference. It's a matter of how you approach your betting, okay? Which means if I consider these to be 1 unit, $500 units, and I play the exact same way that I've been playing, but with black chips instead of green chips, 5 units looking like 3 units, that same 3-unit win that I've been getting every time I win becomes $1,500. Okay, that's the math. Can't change that. It may sound degenerate to some of you, but that's exactly where we are. And again, if I take $2,500, watch this, stop loss of 20%, win goal of 10%. Look at the numbers, 500, 1250, whatever. If I change this to $500 and my stop loss is 100% and my win goal is 60%, we're in about the same area, right, of wins. We're in about the same area of win amounts. Actually, the 60% is wrong. It's 500. Sorry, it's 300. Whoop. 300 divided by, whoops. Oh my gosh, John, really? It is 60%, yeah. Okay, my brain was cooking over there. So, yeah. That's it, guys. It all works out the same. This should be the same numbers. $2,500, 10%. Oh, we were doing 20% stop loss. 20% stop loss, 10% win goal. And there we are. All right, actually, the win goal has been more than 10%. It's been a little more than that. It's been like 15%, right? Is that what it is? 15, 12, 12.5, 12%? I want to get the numbers right there, 12%, because that's where we've been. We've been winning about $300, right? So it's about 12% of where we are. That's why the numbers are the same. So 2,500, 20% stop loss, 12% win goal, which is what we've been achieving, $300 out of 2,500. I think that's right? 300 divided by 2,500 is about 12%, which is exactly right. Is the same thing as $500. Yeah, same thing as, sorry, I should have this prepared. $500, 100% stop loss, 60% win goal. It's the exact same. There's no difference here in the amount of money you're winning. It's about how you approach your units. Okay, we've been approaching 2,500 as 25 units of 100 versus 5 units of 500. And I've been approaching 5 units of 100, right, as 20 units of $25. That's how I've been approaching it. That's where I think this whole conversation, to me, gets really, really interesting, right? And again, you got to take that calculation and combine that with your personality type. If your personality is too conservative, you can't pull that off, or your strategy isn't capable of winning 60%, right? All that has to tie in to make it work. Just remember, the percentages are the same. I'll give you a link to the spreadsheet. You can play with your own numbers, and you'll see that all that is exactly the same. No matter what you do, right? You got to decide what you're willing to risk to win what. We go back to this screen here. You're willing to risk, in my case, $500 to win $300. I'm willing to risk $2,500 to win $1,500, or I'm willing to risk $2,500 to win $250. All those statements can be true. However, the more spread you have between stop loss and win goal, the worse it gets for you. The closer you bring those two together, the better you're going to look at the end of those sessions. And I hope that all makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back over to here. I want to make sure we cover before I get to the questions. We'll go back in. I think that's basically it. Okay, here's just some examples of winning 10 units. And I'm going to go into like the mind of each player type, how you can do it, right? A conservative player in craps might go 1 unit across, 64 across, right? To win 10 units, same betting, 6 to 7 wins you need. An aggressive player who's going to do a full press can get out of there with 10 units in 4 wins. So the level of conservatism or aggressiveness you do can get you to 10 units in different ways. The thinker, probably playing 6, 7, 8, skill 66 for 1.5 units, needs 2 wins to get out of Dodge, right? And again, they've got bets everywhere. They're doing a math-based plan, but they can get out of it in a couple of hits, right? The math person, blackjack betting only when the count's positive, really positive. Or they're playing a 1 unit molly, right? $10 max odds, go, right? They're going to win 10 units in 1 shot, right? They may burn, but they're going to win 10 units in 1 shot. The hammer guys, of course, those 1 unit negative progressions up and down as you go, a martingale, a 32, all those things are guaranteed to win you 1 unit if you don't run into a nightmare, right? So again, winning 10 units based on your bankroll bet size, lots of ways to do it. These are the ways that I think kind of speak to those folks, right? The streak catchers, right? On the field side of things, waiting for a streak, looking to win 3 in a row, 4 in a row to get out of there with their 1 unit win or their 10 unit wins. You can easily pull these things off if you're playing the right way for your psychology. I would never say a conservative player should go out there looking to catch a streak with a 31 or a parolee, right? The conservative player is going to take smaller wins incrementally. The guy who's looking for a streak win is going to wait for something to happen and then hammer, parlay, and walk away, That's what they're looking for. The conservative player can never play that way, or they shouldn't be playing that way because it's going to break their brain. They may have the bankroll for it. They may have the unit calculation right, but it's going to break them to play that way. Capiche? All right, let's go. Let's go ahead. I know there's a bunch of questions out here. Let's go. Let's see. First, I'll do the questions, and then I'll look at the PC. So questions. Has anybody, yes, ChatGPT always tells you to play come bets and max odds. Unless you ask it not to. And I say to ChatGPT, please do it without come bets and max odds. And it's actually, you know what's funny? Let's do it. We got 5 minutes here. Let's go do it. Because why not? It's fun. ChatGPT is great, by the way. I love ChatGPT. It's getting so much, it's funny how much better it's getting, like any AI is, over time. What's the best craps strategy? And it's gonna tell you come bets and max odds. It always does. Place bet, pass line, once points average, take odds behind the pass line bet, or don't pass. Okay. Then I'll say, what is the best craps strategy with only place bets? Because you want to make sure it's not giving you the come bet stuff, and that's going to tell you to go 6 and 8, right? Again, it's pure about house edge. It does give you some risk management and some advice here, which is cool. I think it's listening to me about some of this stuff. Yeah, ChatGPT is great, and you can actually have it dig into that if you wanted to do that. It's actually pretty cool. I wonder if I can do like how fast, or how would I press the 5 or the 9 in craps from 25 to $100 as fast as possible. Can it do this? I wonder if it can figure this out for us. Probably not. Let's see, 35 hours after win, choose the, oh, look at that. Okay, it actually kind of helps you out a little bit. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, cool, let's get back to us. Thanks to Russell for the sidetrack there. That's always fun. Let's see. El Toro, do I have a strategy with a proven and guaranteed 7? No, I do not. I do not. You're not going to win every single time 70%, right? But if you look at the course of time, and I can go back to, give me a second here. Let's go back here. Okay, look at this is the paycheck. Okay, look where now the storm got its ass kicked. But look where we are. These are the strategies that we've played. So if I'm playing this for 116 days, okay? And again, we're grinding most of the time. The Dolly Latterson, even though it lost big bankroll 4 times, 80% win rate. 6, 7, 8, 90% win rate. 3-point Molly, 75% win rate. Red Cross, 81% win rate. The Storm got its ass kicked. The odds maker right now is about 70%. I think it's at 70%. Let's go back to that screen. The odds maker currently is 4 divided by 8, 75%, right? I don't know what to tell you. There are ways to play that are going to win 70%. You've got to remember this. The reason why, let's go back to that screen. The reason why, where's my screen? The reason why we have these win rates is not because the strategies are great. Let me rephrase that and restate it rather. The reason why we have an 80% win rate, 90% win rate is not because the strategies are great. Okay? I challenge somebody in chat. Somebody tell me why we have these win rates. And again, I'm putting these things up to me. My awful rolling at 7 o'clock in the morning when it's 8 degrees outside, right? I'm not a great shooter, but I'm winning so much. Why am I winning so often? What is the secret sauce here? It's not the strategy. It's the discipline. It's the minute I'm up, I'm out. These losses, these numbers of loss in here, how many of these losses can you say? And you can count them on your hands. Probably 4 or 5 of these things are me going on tilt, right? Where I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to the ceiling and who cares today? I'm already mad, I'm in a bad mood, I broke my stick, and we're gonna burn like $1,000 or $2 today, right? I've done that 3 or 4 times. When I go off discipline and off script, we get beat worse. When I'm on discipline and on script, we leave when we're ahead. And that's the reason why we have a high win rate. Not a lot of money, but a high win rate. And I think part of the problem over here is my win goals have been a little too small. My bet units have been a little too small. We can adjust some of these things here with different sizing. But yes, El Toro, these strategies have all won over 70%, over 100 straight days of playing, primarily because of this right here. Because of this and because of this, I'm willing to walk when I'm up. Most people aren't willing to walk when they're up. Most strategies will get you ahead, but you got to be willing to get the hell out of there when it happens. These are all grindy, low volatility ways of playing that assist you in getting up. Most of the time, you got to be the person that gets out. And I think that's the secret. That's the answer to your query there. I hope I got that clear. And I'm not trying to be like combative or anything, but that's kind of where I see that. It's not so much about the strategy being great. It's about you being great. You got to be better than the casino on some of this stuff. I think that's super important. Okay. Skill, where's the moderate player? I would consider on my list, let's go back to what you're talking about. Let's go back to here. I would consider somebody who's a tinkerer thinker and a conservative player as that moderate guy. I think these are polars, right? The conservative is here, or actually the conservative might be said to be down here. The aggressive guy might be right up here. The combination of conservative plus tinker might be the person that's in the middle of those two, right? When you combine those different ways of playing, I think that's what creates different types of players. And yeah, the moderate player, I might be in this group, right? I'm conservative early, aggressive late. That's been my MO when I'm playing to win, like to win. And yeah, I will burn a tiny bit of money over and over again to hit it, right? Conservative early, aggressive late is me. Some guys just going in, they're aggressive out of the gate. I think you are more of a tinkerer guy, right? You're playing chess all the time, but when you get the chance, you go into aggressive mode. Your aggressive mode, for you, Skill, let's go here again. Your aggressive mode doesn't really have this. You have no risk because you're waiting to be at casino money, and then you're gonna go most all or nothing. You're gonna go half press, right? But it's basically all or nothing from that point forward. Once you get even, that's how I would determine a moderate. But really, that's kind of a tinker person that becomes aggressive after they get to a certain point. Again, that's kind of their aggressive trigger, so to speak. Let's see, what do we say here? I hope I covered these well enough, right? The 60% win goals. Again, it's the same as a 10% on a giant bankroll. It's just when you crush your stop loss to almost nothing, instead of here, your stop loss is here, that 10% of the whole becomes 60% of the small. That's an important thing. Math, right? It's very simple stuff, and that can shorten your sessions and it can focus you at the table. Again, I'm not saying that's the way you have to play. I'm saying it's the way I'm starting to look at things more recently. Like, let me just up the bet sizes and make it stop loss 0, but let's scope the loss to what percentage of my master I'm willing to lose. Just a different way of kind of coming at the apple from the other side of the table, if that makes sense. How did I decide when for the paycheck? So what I've been doing with my paycheck Skill is I'm following the 10% rule. So my master bankroll started at 10 grand. If you remember this way back, bought in for 1,000, looking to win 100. We were winning 10%. We were risking 10% of the master, risking 10% of that risking 100 to win 10%. As I won more money, I increased the bet sizes. Now our master bankroll is about $24,000. So my buy-in is $2,500. So I'm at 10% of the master what we've earned so far. We've gone from 10,000 to 25,000, which is pretty cool. I'm risking 10% of that. Now what I'm thinking about is upping the bet levels. I have not given a lot of thought to the bet levels. We've been kind of playing strategies that sort of give me about 10 cracks at it for the most part. And I'm discovering that the stop lossing the entire 2,500 to win 10% is really limiting our ability to win money. Increasing or lowering the stop loss or considering the whole thing as a stop loss but then increasing the win size by bigger bets is going to make that go a little quicker. I think. I'm going to do a little shadow play and see how that works out for us. I'm going to actually take the odds maker stuff and I'm going to run it in win craps with different bet levels and different stop losses to see how it works out, because I think that's an interesting thing to talk about for sure. Okay. El Toro says, not trying to be any kind of way, but perhaps you said weird. Yeah, I'm sure I did say it weird. And I hope I clarified that, right? There is no 70% guaranteed winning crap strategy. Otherwise, as you say, I would have a cot next to the table. If I was going to win 70% of the time, I would sleep there, right? The reason why is not the strategy. The strategies put you in a position to be in profit. You got to get yourself the hell out. If you stay too long, you're going to be in bad shape. How often I get one hit? What's the percentage of getting one hit? It's not very good. One hit, I think, is, let me change my screen for you, Jen. Hold on one second. Let me go here first. I'm going to get back to the right thing there. And let me go right thing here. Ba-boom, bada-boom. Okay, so in my daily paycheck, I think that's the paycheck, right? There's the paycheck stats. This is 5,386 rolls of daily. This is me rolling for the last 116 days on daily paycheck, right? I am below average. Not surprising, right? My payable hits per roll, box hits per roll, it looks like about 22% of the time I don't get one hit, which is what I've given this number to you a million times, okay? 22% of the time I don't get the one hit that I need. Those are 22% PSOs, which is about what you'd expect, right? Maybe it's a little higher than you expect, but this is what you see. And the reason why this is higher than 16%, by the way, you think, hey, it should be 16%. That's because you might get a horn number, set a point, roll an 11, 7 out. That's why it's 22%, not 16%. But that's about what you see. Not getting one hit is pretty high, okay? However, if you're getting the one hit, and sometimes that one hit is a buckshot on the point and you're on max odds, it makes up for it. If you're on the don't and you're playing the horseman, these right here are 4-unit wins. If you're on or 5-unit wins. If I'm on the horseman, these one hit and downs, right? That's a 5-unit win for me, right? So you think about your strategy versus the averages. Yeah, it's not pretty. This is the reality, folks. This is absolute reality. There is a basically average person. That's what you can expect. About 20-ish% of the time, you're not getting your one hit. There's your answer. Hope that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but that's the truth. I'm sorry that's what it is. Yeah. What else? Yeah. What other questions y'all have? I gotta go. I'm late for a meeting. I've got to run. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.